Hey, how is everyone doing? Welcome back to another live stream. It is Thursday night and we are already in December, the last month of the year. The year has quickly gone by, so how's everyone's year been doing? I hope you guys are at least achieving your resolutions or you have about 1 month left to do that. Before we start, as usual, just want to make sure that the audio and visual are doing fine. You can see the stream feed okay, the video is doing okay, and you can hear me fine through this microphone. Let me know if there's any problems like echoes or distortion, or am I too loud, am I too soft, or if you can't even hear me at all, am I mumbling to myself? While I wait for some feedback, let me drink some coffee. Coffee's life. Oh, that's good. Wow, we have a lot of chat already. You guys are just rambling on the chat. Nice. All right, thanks, Wolfie. Thanks for the update. I'll just wait for one more, I guess, one more person to make sure that everything works. So Wolfie is and DGO Wrench says audio is great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. All right, let's start. As usual, I'll say hi and reply to the chats from members first. If you're a member, your name is Harlington in green and there's a star badge next to your name. But don't worry, I'll get to everyone, all right? Tomato says, good evening, Robbie, and all. Good evening to you too, Tomato. How are you? Very nice to see you again. Hey, Gregory. Gregory says, hello, Robbie and everyone from Chile, 12 degrees, Katy, Texas. Wow, 12 degrees. It is quite cold in Malaysia recently. It's been raining a lot. There has been severe floods as well. We've had some loss of lives, which is not a very good thing. But he has kept the weather quite cold. My room is about 26 degrees. I know it's not cold compared to where some of you guys are at, but it is cold in Malaysia. Andrew says, good evening, Robin and everyone, catching up the stream while driving. Oh my goodness, Andrew. Be careful though. Hopefully I'm not too distracting. Just as usual, I always remind people, safety first, always, yeah? Andrew? Rowan Capture says, evening, I'll try not to beep on Canon. It's not my cup of tea. No worries, no worries. We all have our preferences, but hey, I think it's good to have diversity. It's good to have options, and Canon has been a strong brand. They have a good legacy. They've been around for a long time, so I do respect Canon a lot. Tomato says, pretty chilly here in Perth, 17 degrees. Wow. Well, Perth, I thought it's gonna get hot now, right? Well, 17 degrees is actually pretty good. Gregory says, hello, Wolfie. Yeah, Wolfie is in the house. Andrew says, I love both the Sony APS-C and full-frame cameras, Panasonic Olympus Micro Four Thirds cameras. Some days I love rice, some days I love noodles. All good, yeah. Like I said, it's good to have options, right? Thanks, Gregory. Appreciate that. James, how are you, James? Good to see you again. Good evening, Robin. Good morning from Philadelphia. What are your birthday plans for this year? Oh, you remember, my birthday is coming. No plans, actually. I think me and a friend, we are going to go to Genting Highlands, which is a place for casino. I think the only casino in Malaysia. And yeah, I'll be doing some gambling. Not the wisest thing to do for my birthday, but trust me, I have very good self-control. I've only been up there, this will be the second time this year, and maybe the first time this year. I haven't been up there since last year. So yeah, I've been only going there once a year. So I have very good self-control, don't worry. But some gambling will be fun just to cap off the year, right? So yeah, that's the plan. Let's get to non-members. Scudder says good morning from Orlando. Hey Squadat, how are you? Very good to see you. DGO says good morning, Robin. Good morning to you too. Hey Wolfie, very good to see you. You're here early. Hey Robin and fellow snapper shutter clickers. It's nice to catch you live once again. No worries, I'm glad you can make the time. Very happy to see you again. Har says, good morning, Robin and chat. Hope you are well. I'll be lurking as I'm driving. Oh my goodness. What's with everyone driving and watching me live? I hope you're not watching, just listening, right? Stay safe, Har, and please, safety first always. Dan says, hey everyone, good morning from Southern California. Hey Dan, how are you? Visual says, commenting about full frame, I have a Z7 and use it in DX mode a lot. No problem, I'll admit, I do enjoy 45 megapixels for macro though, yeah. Resolution is very important, especially for macro and a lot of photographies as well, allowing you some room to crop, and that is a huge advantage, I'm not gonna lie. Kamuyat Maram says, good evening Robin, very nice topic for tonight. No worries, we're gonna dive in very, very soon. Martin says, good afternoon from Cornwall, UK. Hey Martin, how are you? Wolfie says, we'll wait for Robin to come in and say the hellos before I jump into the topic. Having experienced Micro Four Thirds usage for 12 years and full frame for 3 years now, I think I have enough experience to make a comment. No worries, just keep it coming, man. Just keep it coming. DGL says, I wish I had my EM1 original still, but it died a few years ago. This camera with some skill did wildlife no problem. We may depend on new technology too much. I think it's not so much of new technology. I think technology must progress. And the camera manufacturers should push the boundaries of what they can do in terms of technicalities and features and image quality, autofocus performance and everything, right? I think it's right that technology progress. Whether we need it or not, that's secondary, but I don't want to see the camera industry being stagnant. I want everyone to push forward and we want some progress, right? Yeah. You guys are saying hi to each other. Thanks for the update, Wolfie. I'm achieving all my 24 megapixels resolutions. No, it's not a typo. The first time I heard megapixels was from, gosh, what's his name already? Chris Gampert from The Photographer. Fun fact, I worked for Chris before. Thanks, DGO, I appreciate that. Hey, Trick, how are you? Very good to see you here. And Alex says 2 p.m. here in UK. Audio is what? I hope audio is good. Raining in London, all right. Alex says, I shoot OM system and full frame Nikon. Both have their strengths. Yeah, both have their places as well. All right, I'm going to say hi to a few more people and then I'm going to jump into my updates for this week. Andrew says, I'm going to check out the new Sony A7 Mark V during the M4 fair and Sony fair this weekend. Let's see what the fuss is all about. Yeah, I'm going to be there as well. I'm going to talk about the fair very, very soon, about the updates. Updates coming. Nick says, Canon user here for many years. Currently have the OM5 Mark II on loan as I'm considering it for my mountain photography. How is it so far, Nick? You've tried already, right? Let me just search something quickly. I see that Nick has a YouTube channel as well. Cool. Nice, nice, Nick. Nick Hansen Photography. So guys, if you guys, let me see if I can pull this up for everyone. Well, Nick is considering supporting, getting OM system for his mountain adventures. So Nick Hansen's YouTube channel. Please go to Nick's channel and give him a subscribe and say hi. I think he deserves that. Yeah, let's help each other out. Hey, we're all small community here. Photography was not that large, right? Okay, the African Chronicle says, hello from Canada. Hey, how are you? Good to see you here. Dave says, Robin, I see that Micro Four Thirds already lost the market for lens-shaped cups. Yeah, I know, right? It is like the 24, 105, f4L Canon EF lens. All right. Dan says, I have multiple full-frame cameras, Z60-800E, but I still use my Micro Four Thirds the most. It's hard to beat the low ISO with a full-frame and f1.8 lens, but the bigger full-frame size and cost, cropping is better with full-frame. Yes, that is true. I think resolution does give you some advantage in certain work and you just have more freedom, right? It's like an insurance. So yeah, definitely. I can see, I'm not denying the benefits that full frame system brings. I've also always said that Micro Four Thirds has always been sufficient for me and what I do. And yeah, I just thought that, yeah, this would be an interesting topic to talk about. I am going to put a pause on the chat here. Don't worry, I will go to every single one as usual. I never skipped on anyone's chat, but let's start with some updates on what's happening on my channel, on my live. Yeah. On Monday, I released the part 2 video of the OM system 50-200 f2.8 Pro. This time I brought it to Kuala Lumpur Bird Park for some tests, and specifically I was testing the image stabilization 5.6 Sync IS and also how the lens performs with the use of a teleconverter 1.4 times the MC14 Olympus. And I couldn't do that previously when I was shooting tennis because 200 was already long enough for getting close to the tennis players. I don't need 300 or longer, all right? So this time, of course, when I was shooting birds, the more reach, the better, because birds are really, really tiny. And I found some compromises when used with the teleconverter. There's some flare problems, some chromatic aberration, there's some drop of sharpness. So yeah, if you guys have not checked out the video on Monday, please do check it out. I think it's quite fun. I had a lot of fun shooting the birds in the park, and I hope you guys find my sharing useful. Some of the notable comments in that video, people were telling me, wow, Robin, you were the first one to highlight the issues when used with teleconverter. They haven't seen anywhere else. So I'm not gonna lie, I admit I have not seen every single reviews of the OM System 50-200 lens out there. I haven't seen every single review. I've seen about half a dozen or so. And yeah, that's right. Most people say, oh, when you use with teleconverter, it's good enough. But not many people go into detail on what are the issues and compromises that you may face. And I even talk about the compromise of image stabilization when you attach the teleconverter. So do check it out if you have not done so. Last weekend, I had a job in Penang, so I went to Penang on Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I came back on Monday evening, so I was there for 3 days. I was shooting on Saturday and Sunday. It was a good shoot, but because I spent so much time shooting and I didn't have enough rest, initially I planned to do shuttle therapy on Monday morning in Penang. Although I woke up early and I saw the light was glorious, I was just too tired to go out. So, but I did enjoy Penang food. I stuffed myself silly. I went and eat all the street food. I think you can see that I'm getting a little bit rounder now with all the food that I've been consuming. And that's why there's the Pai tea at the side there. That's one of the Penang famous food. All right. Oops, not supposed to see this first. So that's Pai tea. Pai tea is technically, if you don't know what Pai tea is, it's a thin, crusted, tart pastry with spicy and sweet fillings of thinly sliced vegetables and prawn. So yeah, so imagine like the crust, you can see the brown crust, it's very thin, super crispy, it's like a pastry, and then inside the crust, the filling is mixed of spicy and sweet, thinly sliced vegetables and prawn. It's just so amazing. This is like one of the best things that I've tasted recently. So I have to put it out on here, this light box here, Pai tea. And of course I ate some food. I did not shoot all the food that I eat. I was very tired after the shoot. Char kway teow, fried flat noodles, which was the famous thing in Penang. I don't know how they do it. It just tastes so much better there compared to what we find in Kuala Lumpur. Char kway teow from Penang is just amazing. And then we had some satay as well, chicken satay and pork satay, which is amazing. Satay is like a famous street food in Malaysia. And loba, oh my goodness, this is so good. It's like pork spring rolls, right? It's spring rolls with pork, and the skin is so thin, and they have this Chinese 5-spice for flavoring, which is just amazing. And finally, we wash everything down with chendol. Of course, there are other foods that I've eaten, like Penang laksa, Otian, which is oyster omelette, and a lot of other things, nasi kandar, a lot of other things as well. But yeah, I did not take all the photographs, but yes, chendol, my goodness, chendol is so good, especially after a full day of shooting. I was sweating a lot, it was hot. It was surprisingly hot in Penang over the weekend, although it's been raining a lot elsewhere until it flooded, but it was quite hot. So under hot weather, the chendol was a really welcome food or dessert, right? Yeah, I ate too much. I promise I'll go to the gym and hit the weights a little bit harder this week and next week. So yeah. And as Andrew has mentioned earlier in his chat, there will be a photography event, or more accurately put, camera trade show. It's a camera trade fair happening at Geospace, Petaling Jaya, PJ. This will be organized by N4 Artist Shutter, and I think most of the big brands will be there. This year, I believe the scale of the event will be smaller than the previous 2 years. I see some brands missing. We don't see Panasonic, we don't see OM System joining this particular event. So the big brands are going to be there. Canon, Fuji, Nikon, Sony, of course, Tamron, Sigma, they'll be there. And yeah, I will go there on Saturday afternoon if everything goes according to plan, if nobody distracts me, or if I don't get last minute shoots calls or anything. Yeah, I'll be there on Saturday afternoon. And if you are in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, if you're free this weekend, so this event, this photo and video expo is going to happen on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, which starts tomorrow, and going to go through the entire weekend. It'll be a place where I believe you might be able to find some discounts on some new products as well. If you want to have your hands on, try new products like the Canon R6 Mark III or the Canon A7 Mark V, or even a Nikon ZR or Fuji X-T33, any products at all, I'm sure all the camera brands, they will bring the products for showcase, and you can just go there and try anything that you want, or any lenses as well. But unfortunately, OM System is not going to be there this year. All right, moving on. I don't know if you guys have watched this, but there's a new show in Netflix, if you have Netflix, and it's called The Stringer. It's a documentary movie. It is about some people questioning the legitimacy of the Napalm Girl photo, and they claim that it wasn't taken by Nick Ut. This was a very bold allegation against Nick Ut and AP, or Associated Press. I've watched the movie. I find it quite riveting. I think the movie is worth watching. The topic itself is very interesting. It's about crediting the photograph to the right person, the importance of mentioning the photographer who took the photo, right? As simple as that. And they intentionally, well, according to the documentary, they intentionally switched the names, and Nick Ut got all the glory because the photograph won all kinds of awards in the world. It won Pulitzer, it won World Press Photo and everything, so he got the glory, whereas the person who actually took the photograph was left with nothing. And they went on and interviewed a lot of people involved with the particular session, the shooting, how they got the photograph, and they also finally found the person who actually they claim who took the photograph instead of Nick Ut. So yeah, if you guys haven't watched this movie, I highly recommend it. If you're a fan of photography, I think this raises a lot of questions about ethics and about attribution, and yeah, it just questions the Napalm Girl photo, right? Who took it? I'm not gonna say that this will discount the importance or the impact of the photograph. The photograph is powerful. It has changed the course of human history. It was published everywhere. I believe it changed the policies of the governments, right? After they've seen the photograph published in the newspapers. But having said that, I also think that it's very important to credit the photograph to the right photographer. And I certainly don't want that to happen to me. I don't want to see my photograph that I work my ass off to take it and then someone else get the credit. I think that's just wrong. Well, the documentary is presenting a very strong case against Nick Ut, and a lot of evidence are stacked against Nick Ut. And the very interesting thing, of all the things, they have so many things, right? Even forensic evidence on the positions of photographer, and they said that Nick couldn't be in the position where he took the photograph. But the thing that stood out to me was the lens used to take the Napalm Girl photo. Nick claimed that he used his Leica with a 35mm lens. However, the original photographer, the photographer that the documentary claimed who took the photograph, he used a Pentax with a 15mm lens. If you really look at that Napalm Girl photograph, it's not difficult to search. You just search online. I can't publish the photograph here. I can't show it here because there's a naked girl. I will get demonetized. My channel might be just disappear overnight if I show that photograph. It's sensitive, right? A child is naked. But if you really look at that photograph, if you look at the composition and the framing of the photograph, it does not look like a 35mm lens at all, which was taken by Nick Ut with his Leica and 35mm lens. I have been shooting with 50mm for more than 10-15 years, and I hated the 35 so much, and I know instantly if it was a 35mm lens. It just does not look like a 35mm lens. That stood out to me. I don't know what you guys think, but please do consider watching this movie. I think it's really, really, really interesting. Alright, I think that's pretty much it on updates on what's happening in my life. I'll be going to the photo and video fair, which is already talk about this weekend. If you guys are going, please don't hesitate to come in and say hi if I haven't met you before. It would be nice to see some of you and meet you guys in person, in real life, right? Not just talking to you guys virtually. Oh, members only live stream will be happening tomorrow. So if you're a member, do come back. Tomorrow we're gonna have members only live stream. All right, we're gonna dive into the topic now. But before that, let me drink some coffee. Coffee. Let me see if I can catch up on some chat. I just don't want to get left behind too far, which has happened many times before. Let me just go through a few chats and then we'll dive into the topic. Gary says, current Micro Four Thirds images are good enough for me, not a pro. I value small size and versatility. Definitely. We have reached a point of sufficiency about, I don't know, 8-10 years ago. So anything from there, if you know what you're doing with your camera and lens, you should be able to get very good images. Oren Capture says, I do admit Canon has some good cameras, but the APS-C DSLRs are overpriced for what they are. I'll take a used EM5 Mark II over a new Canon 200D. Yeah, definitely. But I think like now the topic that we'll talk about is not so much on the APS-C line from Canon, but the full frame mirrorless. It is blooming, it's maturing. It seems like the full frame cameras are peaking. Right, they have reached a very high level that you can pick up any full frame cameras from Nikon, Canon, or Sony, the mirrorless cameras, and they are really good, right? So yeah, that's the main topic today. And where does that leave Micro Four Thirds? You guys are talking to each other, no worries. Let me get to a few more non-member chat. Yumi says, hi Robin, hi everyone. Hey Yumi, very good to see you here. The African Chronicle says, and I already made my choice. It's Canon R6 Mark III all day, every day. You already have the camera? Congratulations. I'm sure it's an amazing camera. Dan says, if we could get a bigger megapixel count for Micro Four Thirds, the cropping wouldn't be an issue anymore. I definitely agree. Let me see if I can open the window a little bit bigger so to let the wind come in. All right, there it is. I agree with you, Dan, and it's not like we don't have a high megapixel count Micro Four Thirds sensor. Sony has announced that they've made a Micro Four Thirds 47 megapixel sensor, and that was available in 2019. And ever since, of course, I don't expect the camera manufacturers to immediately launch cameras with that sensor, but it's been what, 6 years now, and we don't hear anything from OM System or Panasonic, so what's with that, right? It's not like we don't have the sensor. Movie says, I'm using Nikon Z6 as my main camera, and of all things, Minolta 7D DSLR for cheap and fun shooting, 6 megapixel CCD. I still have my broken EM1, but I have lost the will to keep using it. No worries. Use what you have. And Z6 is a fantastic camera. I'm sure the Minolta is also a very fun camera to play with, right? Kunal says, hi Robin, Micro Four Thirds forgot what it could do best to build small, compact, highly functional cameras that make use of the size advantage. The M3 is great, but makes the Fuji X100 Mark VI look like a good deal. Yeah, I know, right? They should have priced the camera a bit lower and should have made it a little bit smaller. You're right about the small, compact, highly functional camera. That's what Micro Four Thirds is so great, right? It is the philosophy of Micro Four Thirds. Really small cameras, but deliver professional grade image quality, right? Nick says, thanks Robin, been loving your videos since, showing an interest in Micro Four Thirds for the lighter weight. I might have seen your videos still. That's why when I look at your handle, Nick Hansen Photography, I remember watching your videos before, so that's why I look it up. So yeah, he has a YouTube channel. So yeah, we gotta, hey, help each other out, right? Viper Gamuka says, good evening Robin. Hey Viper Gamuka, very good to see you. Fajar says, is Micro Four Thirds minimum standard sensor size to do professional job? What is your opinion? I wouldn't go smaller, but I can't say the same for everyone else. I have a lot of friends who use full frame that wouldn't use APS-C or Micro Four Thirds. And I find that Micro Four Thirds is more than sufficient for me. My clients have never complained. In fact, funny story, true story. I was chatting, my client texted me like 10 minutes before I went live. And I was replying my client asking questions about dates and timing of the coming shoot. That I almost missed hitting the go live button on time. And you know, that's one of my recurring clients, and they trusted me with my photography, and they have no problem with me using Micro Four Thirds. So yeah. And Peel says, hello everyone, I hope mirrorless cameras on the SH market. What is SH market? Get cheaper in the coming years. All right. SH market. No idea what that is. Rowan Capture says, my pop took a photo with EPL2 in Greece. It's printed out on a large canvas and still really clear. Yeah, definitely. Astro says, thank you for tips last week. I shot an orchestra concert last weekend as official photographer moving about, and out using micro four thirds 90% of the time, and Sony 10% due to my 12 to 100, 100 to 400 being super flexible. Wow, you're using 12 to 100, 100 to 400. That means that that concert must have been very brightly lit. I wouldn't dare using a 12 to 100 because it's f4, right? I need my f1.8 for jobs. Well, good for you, and I'm glad that whatever I shared was helpful, and I'm sure you got some amazing shots. Sounds like fun. I've shot string orchestra. I've never shot a full orchestra before. I've shot string orchestra. Yeah, that must have been a really fun shoot. Well, congratulations, Asru. All right, I'll put a pause on the chat here. Let's get right into the topic. I guess there's nothing much I want to say because I want to hear from you guys. I want the conversation to start rolling. So we all know that Canon and Sony launched their latest cameras, right? The Canon R6 Mark III and Sony A7 Mark V. Both cameras are quite similar in terms of specifications. They have 33 megapixels, they have image stabilization, magnesium alloy body, weather sealing, really good bright electronic viewfinder, very competent video specifications as well, knowing Canon and Sony, they have the cinema camera line, so a lot of the features trickle down to their mirrorless cameras as well. And in terms of updates from the predecessors, if you look at R6 Mark III, it's a huge step up from R6 Mark II. And in terms of new sensor with better resolution, and of course, it's faster readout as well. It can burst faster and do a lot more things. It also allows raw video capture in camera, as well as higher bit rate, and it could go like 4K 120 with full width capture on the R6 Mark III, right? And then whereas the A7 Mark V Sony is less of an update compared to the Canon. If you compare the A7 Mark V versus the Mark IV, still the same resolution, although it's not the same sensor. It's a partially stacked sensor, same like the one used in the Nikon Z6 Mark III. Partially stacked means it allows the sensor to go faster in terms of readout and has less rolling shutter, so it can burst using electronic shutter with less issues. And in terms of video, the readout is faster, so you get a lot better video specifications as well. But it's interesting because even the Sony A7 Mark V, that camera, although it's the latest camera from Sony, it cannot do 4K 120 without crop. It can do 4K 120, but there's a 1.5 times crop, which is interesting. But either way, both cameras are welcome updates to both Sony and Canon. It shows that they are very serious in the game, and especially Sony, right? The A7 Mark IV was a very highly regarded camera. A lot of my friends use the camera shooting weddings and their jobs, and they have said that the camera is so reliable, it just gives them fantastic files to work with. Now that there's an update, it's not like they must update to the camera or upgrade to the camera, but it's nice to see that Sony pays attention, they listen to the consumer, and they give some improvements in their already very successful camera. I think A7 Mark III was the turning point. A7 Mark IV was like everyone just pays attention to Sony and take them seriously, and now A7 Mark V just continues doing what they do best. And I really like what Canon is doing as well with the R6 Mark III. And was it Canon that has the insect AI subject tracking? Let me see if I can find the details. I don't think I can find it here. No, it's Sony. So Sony A7 Mark V has insect autofocus AI subject detection tracking, which I'm very curious about. If I have a chance to test it, I think that will be very beneficial to shoot macro. I have a lot of difficulties even this afternoon I went to shoot some macro, which I'll share the images with you guys later. It seems like, yeah, in all the areas of the autofocus advancement, right, with AI subject detection, I think the one that is most beneficial, that will really make a huge difference, is insect. Because it's so freaking difficult to autofocus insects, especially if they are moving. So yeah, I don't know. Like maybe I should. I haven't had time to go through the reviews of the A7 Mark V. I don't know if anyone have tested the insect autofocus subject detection, but that is one thing that I'm really interested in the A7 Mark V. And A7 Mark V Sony and the R6 Mark III Canon show both cameras. They show that mirrorless full frame has finally matured. They have come a long way, and in terms of technology, they are right there and they are good enough for professional use. And if you are doing professional jobs, whether it's stills or even some video jobs, these cameras are fully capable to do video. Of course, I'm not talking about Hollywood production. You're going to require a different grade of camera for that. There are cinema cameras for that. But like if you are a YouTuber or if you're doing a small production, I think both cameras are excellent, right? Sony and Canon can do a lot with these cameras. And where does that leave Micro Four Thirds? Which is very interesting because Micro Four Thirds was the first to push a lot of things, right? They were the first to introduce electronic shutter. They were the first to introduce image stabilization, 5-axis image stabilization. They were the first to make like mirrorless cameras that is weather sealed with magnesium alloy body, with built-in electronic viewfinder that's really good. They were the first to go really fast, introduce all kinds of advanced features, and they were the one that showed the way, right? Now everyone else have caught up. And in terms of advantages, I'm not saying that Canon and Nikon or Sony, they have won in every single aspect. No, there are some things that I think Micro Four Thirds can still do better, and there are some features that are still absent from the full frame counterparts. Like for example, live composite, the implementation on OM system is still by far the best. We have focus stacking built in, though I wish focus stacking can be we can get raw file, the final stack photograph in camera. That would be amazing. We don't get that. We only get JPEG. Live ND, I don't think that's very useful. I don't like the results I see from Live ND. The grad Live ND as well, although Live ND itself is very limiting. There's still a lot of problems there here, but still it's a unique feature to OM system, right? And handheld higher shot or tripod higher shot, the multi-shot composite of the pixel shift method, I think OM systems implementation is still by far the best. But then again, like pixel shift, live composite, or focus stacking, or live ND, these are not strengths of Micro Four Thirds. These are technically technology that was introduced by Olympus or OM Digital Solutions. Because this technology is not unique to just Micro Four Thirds, they can easily be copied by everyone else. And trust me, sooner or later, some of these features will be copied by others, like pre-capture mode or pro capture mode, right? Or pre-capture. All these cameras, Sony, Canon, they already have the pro capture mode, right? A lot of these features are not unique and they are just computational photography. They're just programming, it's software related. It's not even very hardware dependent. As long as the processor is powerful enough to handle, you can do this basically with any camera, even your smartphone, right? So what is stopping Canon and Sony, who have a lot more resources than, say, OM System and Panasonic, to do all of this? It's not impossible to implement all these unique features that's found in Micro Four Thirds in full frame, which begs the question, how is Micro Four Thirds going to survive if full frame has all these advantages that was once unique to Micro Four Thirds? It is very, very, very interesting. And I still have faith and have hope in Micro Four Thirds. I know this year, 2025, is not exactly a great year for Micro Four Thirds. Panasonic did not even launch a single product for Micro Four Thirds, which is utterly disappointing. OM Digital Solutions have launched several products. They released some really cool cameras and lenses, and at least we have the 50-200 f2.8 Pro, which is an excellent lens, and we have the OM3. Whether you like it or not, that camera looks really good. Some people say, oh, but the specifications is just like they just copy the OM1, but I don't think that's a bad thing, right? OM1 is a flagship, so having the camera putting the same specifications and capabilities from the flagship camera into OM3 is not a bad thing, and you can enjoy the flagship level features and capabilities in another camera with a different shape, different design, which looks really, really cool. And yeah, so it is very interesting to see how Micro Four Thirds respond to this. Full frame is getting better and better and better, and yet the cameras are not that much larger than Micro Four Thirds. If you look at the size of the R6 Mark III and A7 Mark V is just about the same size as the OM1, OM1 Mark II. And it's actually smaller and lighter than Panasonic G9 Mark II and GH7, which is problematic, right? Like if I want to get a camera that large, then why don't I just get full frame? That's the thing, right? And also the price point of these cameras are very close to OM1 Mark II. Like for the same price you pay for the OM1 Mark II, you can get like A7 Mark V, or maybe not A7 Mark V, but now like Z6 Mark III or Canon, at least in Malaysia. Canon R6 Mark III is actually cheaper than OM1 Mark II. Even now at the launch, right? R6 Mark III is cheaper than OM1 Mark II. So that's the question, right? Pricing, like you don't really get much more than what these full-frame mirrorless cameras are offering. And we know that full-frame cameras, they have more resolution, more dynamic range, more better high ISO capability, shooting in low light, noise control. Not only that, but you also get like, what was I trying to say? Better video features as well, right? Overall, compared to OM system, OM1, right? OM1 Mark II. So yeah, this and it's not more expensive. So it's very hard, right? Some will argue, yeah, Micro Four Thirds is still smaller, but if being small and being light is your only advantage, that's not going to last very long. A lot of people are willing to carry a little bit more to have that added benefit of resolution, better image quality, right? Better video capabilities. And oh, I forgot, the one I want to talk about just now, the one that just escaped my mind was autofocus. Clearly, if you guys have tried like R6 Mark II or A7 Mark IV now, again, they've improved further in the A7 Mark V and R6 Mark III. I don't know how much better it's improved. I haven't seen any of these cameras before, but the autofocus. OM system and Panasonic, we are left so far behind and we need to catch up. So what do you guys think? What is the position of Micro Four Thirds now? What does Panasonic and OM Digital Solutions have to do to catch up or to at least stay relevant in the game? Is Micro Four Thirds still relevant? Or are you going to switch over to Z6 Mark III Nikon or Canon R6 Mark III or Sony A7 Mark V? Any of you interested in getting on any of these cameras? Let me know in the chat. Let me drink some coffee. I'll get to the chat. All right. I'll go to members first. Let's see. Alright, Carter says, Micro Four Thirds, especially OM system, are the type of camera you can take anywhere and won't complain or need a lens the size of a car to get good reach. But then again, full frame lenses are also getting smaller and smaller. They are not that much larger than Micro Four Thirds if you really look at it. And people are willing to use a system, a camera and lens that's about maybe 20% larger, 30% larger, but you get way more resolution and better, like 2 stops better dynamic range and high ISO, right? So yeah, there's always a trade-off, but it's not like full frame is twice the size of Micro Four Thirds. It's not the lenses are double or triple the size. No, it's just maybe 20-30% larger, right? Oops. Andrew says, 2025 is not a great year for Micro Four Thirds, but it's the year I began using Micro Four Thirds. I hope you've been enjoying the Micro Four Thirds system so far, Andrew. Too bad, Micro Four Thirds is not going to be at the camera fair this weekend. Hey, Wolfie says, I think Micro Four Thirds is losing its market appeal, and for new users and for enthusiasts, the high-end models are becoming technologically lagging and lower-end too old and just to justify. That's true. I think they need to really catch up in terms of technology. They need new sensor. They need better autofocus. And yeah, I think at least these two things must be addressed, right? New sensor with better resolution and improvement in image quality. And yeah, autofocus. I gotta admit though, it's very tempting for me when I look at all the options, right? I know very well the Nikon they have way better autofocus than the OM1. I have the Z5, it's already better than the OM1. And sometimes I was so tempted to just bring the Z5 to do my photography jobs. There are times. And not only that, now we already have like the R6 Mark III and the Sony A7 Mark V. I'm really tempting to look at all these options. I'm not gonna lie, the options are very interesting. Dan says, I sometimes shoot very low light shots, so that's when I use full frame, but for certain things I can also use my Macro Four Thirds with a small flash. That also really helps prevent high ISO at night. But the small flash, the only way I can use it is to fire direct though, and for any kind of professional work, we usually avoid firing direct flash. It's very harsh. It has too much bright spots. It casts very heavy shadows, very dark, sharp shadows, which makes the image looks very ugly in a way. So I'll attach like a proper flash where I can bounce the flash so it becomes a large diffuse source of light. So you have a soft looking kind of output, which is better when you do like professional shoots. Yeah. Hey Jeff, how are you? Very good to see you, Jeff. Wolfie says, Canon offers amazing updated all price bracket options. Nikon is offering the same, Sony is similar but offers older cameras at lower price, and Panasonic is just dead in the water. Panasonic, I don't even know what they are doing now. It seems like they may be giving up on photography or the imaging division soon. Yeah, I don't know. It just seems like they don't really care. Dan says, the foods you post always look so good. I've put it in my list to try to find a Malaysian food place out here in Southern California to try some foods. Any first time recommendations? Nasi lemak, definitely, although you might not like it. Char kway teow, roti canai, nasi biryani. You can start with nasi lemak and maybe char kway teow. Yeah, those are, you can't go wrong with those. Christoph says, hi Robin. Hey Christoph, how are you? Full frame topic today. It'll be nice to watch the discussion. No worries. I'm glad that you're here. I hope you enjoy the discussion. Wolf says, if OIM system doesn't at least partially stack BSI sensor and use either new and more powerful or OIM1 processor in the low-end cameras and or newer cameras, they will release outdated from the start. Isn't the OIM1 sensor stacked? OIM1 sensor is stacked, right? It's fully stacked, not partially stacked. Yeah, OIM1 is, so currently, OIM1, OIM1 Mark II, and OIM3, these cameras are using a fully stacked BSI sensor. So yeah, there you go. So they're already using it, just that, yeah, maybe what you're referring to as hopefully this sensor will trickle down to the lower level cameras. But then again, although it's BSI, I don't see any image quality improvement. It's basically, I get better quality from my EMR Mark II. So yeah. Fajar says, what is full frame camera you pick to favorite camera? Maybe I consider to buy. Full frame, the new ones? I don't know, hey, it's hard deciding between the three. Z6 Mark III, Canon R6 Mark III, and Sony A7 Mark V, right? It's hard to choose between the three, but I think most likely for budget reasons, I might even just go to Z5 Mark II. We'll see. If I even switch, right? I'm just playing with the thought of switching. Not switching, just adding the camera. I'm not going to give up Micro Four Thirds, obviously. I already have some Nikon lenses, so why not just add another Nikon camera, right? Dan says, yikes, yeah, I've heard some historic photos were staged, but this takes it to a next level. Wow, that's horrible if it's true. Go watch the documentary if you have time, or if you have Netflix subscription, or just borrow someone's Netflix and watch it. It's highly recommended. And currently, I forgot to mention that The Stringer on Netflix, which is the documentary about the Nick Ut not taking the Napalm Girl photo, that documentary movie on Rotten Tomatoes is now rated at 100%. 100%. I think the last I checked was based on 20 reviews. 20 people gave that movie 100%. So yeah, it's highly recommended. Christoph says, Robin, do you compare 40-150 f4 to 75-300? Why do you compare? Is it worth to buy 70-300 if I have 41? You can't compare because 150 versus 300 is just too far apart, right? And you can't do what you do with the 75-300 with the 40-150. But then again, at the overlapping focal lengths, the 40-150 f4 is definitely way better than the 75-300. You get brighter aperture and the image quality is definitely sharper, better bokeh, everything is better. It's just that you don't have 300. So like, if there is a bird that's far away and I have these two lenses, the 75-300 is just going to do a better job, right? So there's no comparison. Uvi says, I haven't tried any Malaysian cuisine yet. I have tried Filipino food because my little sister always wants me to try it. I need to find a place that makes or sell Malay food in UK. That's the thing, right? Like, I think the Malaysian food there will not taste good. somehow it has lost its originality or authenticity. It's just mutated into something else, watered down, or at least they try to make it more suitable or adapt to the local taste, if that makes any sense. Dave says, I saw some crown pigeons on your photos. Once I saw it in a zoo. He tried to taste my sneakers. Perhaps he doesn't know a difference between sneakers and sneakers. They are not shy, and I can get quite close to them, which is pretty cool. I guess like the trick is not to have sudden movement and you just stay still for long duration of time. You can just move slowly nearer and nearer, and you get like really close up shots. Yeah. Okay, let's get to members chat, if any. Okay. Andrew says, I'll probably wait for a couple of years when the price drop for A7 Mark V or second hand, but then again, I'm using A7R. I'm not sure if I want a lower resolution camera. I thought A7R is like 36 megapixels, right? A7 V is like 33. We're talking about lower resolution. Rowan Capture says, do we know when the OM1 Mark III is being announced? Of course not. They'll never tell. When it comes out, I might upgrade to it. The only probably source of information, and which is questionable, will come from the rumor sites, right? And the OM system is not going to tell, oh, we're going to launch this camera next year on this date. That's not going to happen. Andrew says, I still love Micro Four Thirds as an everyday carry. Based on my usage this year, I use my Micro Four Thirds more than my Sony. Sony as an everyday carry is a tiny bit cumbersome to pack into my work bag, especially with a long prime lens. That's true. That's true. If you want small and light, minimal footprint, Micro Four Thirds is still the best way to go, especially for travel as well, right? Gary says, I can carry Micro Four Thirds primes in my pockets. You must have massive pockets, Gregory. Deep pockets. Serafin says, Sony and Canon can mature all at once. They have the most boring cameras in the market. I think boring is not a bad thing as long as they get the job done. And my problem with Micro Four Thirds, well, they make exciting cameras, but they fail to get some jobs done, especially OM1. I've been missing shots on my actual shoots. And to me, that's a very serious problem. So if you are a working photographer, you need shots, right? You want reliable autofocus. Of course, you can argue that, well, last time photographers used manual focus, they still get the job done, or, like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, autofocus wasn't as great as what we have today, and still photographers get the job done. Yeah, that's one way of looking at it, but if I were to buy a camera today, if I'm going to upgrade my camera, of course I'm going to get something with better autofocus, better image quality, right? There must be a step up in terms of performance. If not, why upgrade at all? And let's say my cameras die. It doesn't make sense that I'm going to get exactly the same camera again, right? Of course, I'm going to look for newer options, and whoever or whatever camera brands and models that can give me better performance, better image output, I'm going to take it, right? It's just a matter of finding the best way to spend your money and get the best out of the money that you spend, right? And if you are a working photographer, it's also about delivering the best possible results to your clients. So looking at it that way, yeah, Sony and Canon, they have become really reliable, especially mirrorless cameras. They have matured, and that's why they've become so popular in the market. The market share, it doesn't lie. You can see that Sony and Canon, they dominate the market share. Boring is one thing. It's up to you. If you buy a camera based on excitement, that's good for you, but I'm a practical person. I'm an engineer. I can't buy a camera just purely for fun. Yes, when I'm not doing my jobs, I don't care. I can use an old Canon 5D Mark I. I can use E1, for example, the first DSLR from Olympus, right, with 5 megapixels. I don't care. Or Nikon D50 with 6 megapixels. I don't care. I can use whatever I want when I'm not doing my jobs. When I'm doing my jobs, I really must make sure that the camera is at least good enough to get the job done. Nick says, I have the R5 Mark II and R6 Mark II. I use the R6 for my mountain photographer as it is slightly lighter than the R5. However, especially when camping, my bag is quite heavy. So I'm considering the OM5 Mark II with the 825 12-100, which would be around a total of 500 grams lighter. May I suggest, if you can, get the Panasonic 9 f1.7 that can replace the 825. And 12-100 is fine, but that is a large and heavy lens. I would use 12-40 f2.8 and I'll chuck in something longer like 40-150R, not the Pro, the R, because if you're outdoor, the 40-150 is f4 to 5.6. That's good enough because it's really small. So Panasonic 9 f1.7, maybe Olympus 12-40 f2.8 Pro, and a 40-150R. This is just me. That makes sense. Second hand. Martin says, I have OM3 and I love the combination of style, feature, and size, especially smaller lenses. However, if Nikon released a full-frame camera that was lighter, I would love it. A7C size or weight. Yeah, even Sony, right? A7C is like smaller and lighter than a lot of Micro Four Thirds flagship cameras, right? And yet it has full-frame sensor. But I gotta admit, I think although you did mention this, but that A7C is quite ugly. If style is important for you. But then again, Sony, if I want function, I'll go for the A7 Mark IV, Mark V, right? Those are the more practical use for professional scenarios. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Andrew says, A7R is either 61 or 42. A7R? Are you sure? A7R? 36. How many megapixels? A7R is 36 lah. What 61, 42? I know, because when A7R was launched, I was working for Olympus. I need to keep track of all the cameras. Like last time, I will know every single camera model and all the specifications. I need to know because it's my job. So A7R came out just when I joined Olympus, and at the time it was Olympus EM1. So OMD, that was the peak for Olympus. And yeah, we were, and I remember there was a group of like hundreds of photographers sending like an open letter to Sony saying that the A7R has all kinds of issues like light leaks and shutter shock and all kinds of problems with the camera. It's as if the camera was not ready to be launched. It was quite funny. But then it took some time. Sony learned their lesson and they've improved the camera so much. And yeah, these days they've gotten so much better now. And look at where they are now. They just dominate the market, right? So yeah. At least they got better, right? Roy Catcher says, I was chased by a black swan once while getting a photo of it on my Galaxy S7. It was a pretty good phone camera. I used it to put in slow motion and throw it in the air to get cool videos. Black swan! Wow. Where were you? Was it in Perth? Perth, Australia? Okay, the wind is blowing. I gotta close the window a little bit. So just give me a bit of time. Where was this? Be right back. Okay, just make sure that the wind doesn't blow the light blocks away. Okay. Wolf says, in my opinion, Canon, Nikon, Sony, Panasonic offers more technological and feature improvements than what OM Panasonic Micro Four Thirds do now, and not all of them are gimmicks. That's true, that's true. They have improved a lot. Wolfie says, and for lenses, everyone makes almost all small light zooms and primes on full frame, even cheaper with third-party options. The literally last ground left for Micro Four Thirds is telephoto reach for weight and size savings, which even isn't that much savings as well, right? The telephoto lenses are also quite pricey. Jared says, good evening from dark Finland. We have 5.5 hours of daylight nowadays. I think full frame mirrorless cameras are too pricey and too heavy for me. Won't buy one. Good evening to you too, Jerry. Very nice to see you. Then again, full frame cameras, the price is the same. Or cheaper, like here, Canon R6 Mark III is cheaper than OM1 Mark II, right? Okay, let me see. Canon R6. No price, Malaysia. So body is 10,999 ringgit. Let's say 11,000 ringgit. OM system, OM1 Mark II. Launch price, Malaysia. So the Canon R6 Mark III is 11,000 ringgit body on it. The OM1 Mark II is 12,000 ringgit. So there you go, it's cheaper. That's one. You're saying that it's pricey and too heavy. Let's see. Canon R6 Mark III. Weight. 609 grams, right? And OM1 Mark II weight is also 600 grams. So it's 9 grams heavier. So there you go, and the size is about the same, right? Like if you have seen those cameras before side by side, I think the R6 might even be slightly smaller than the OM1. Yeah, so your argument doesn't make sense, Jared. It just doesn't make sense. Crystal says you have Nikon Z5 and EMR Mark II and OM1. Which camera do you prefer to shoot? A few months ago, I considered Z5 with view thrust 85, but I choose 75 1.8, 17 f1.2. I still use EMR Mark II for 90% of my jobs. I find that I'm more used to I've been using the camera for so many years, and I have all the full collection of lenses, right, including the 75 1.8, which I need for a lot of my jobs, and I don't have an equivalent lens for my Nikon yet. The Z5 is there. I have some lenses for it, so for less critical shoots, things that don't move very fast, like small events, intimate dinner, or things that are not too demanding, like portrait shoot, outdoor portrait shoot, right? Then I'll use the Nikon Z5. And boy oh boy, the portraits, I definitely prefer to use the Nikon Z5 because of the human face and eye tracking. The AI tracking is so much better than what the OM1 can do. OM1, I've not used it for jobs. I've only been using the OM1 for live streams. And doing some macro and maybe some testing some cameras, not cameras, lenses, like whenever there are new lenses from one system, like the 50 to 200 f2.8 Pro or 100 to 400 Mark II, then I'll use the OM1 to test it. Other than that, the OM1 is just my streaming camera, and yeah, that's and but I always bring OM1 in the camera bag. So of course, if you are a professional photographer, you always must have a backup. So my main camera is the EMR Mark II, and then the backup camera is the OM1. So it's always in the camera bag. It's just not being used. But between Olympus and Nikon, Olympus gets about 90%, 80%, 90% of use. Some less critical jobs that I use the Nikon Z5. I hope that makes sense. JTech says, Robin, you deserve both. No need to choose just one, brother. Wow, you can marry more than one wife, right? Which says, Robin, from what others have told me and their experience, the insect subject detection works with bird-shaped light insects and not super high magnification. Ah, okay. Yeah, I haven't, but then again, how about the new A7 Mark V? I'm sure they've done some tweaks and improvements in it, right? I'm not talking about the previous ones. The existing ones, I don't think they are that great, but then again, it's a new camera, and Sony, being Sony, I expect a lot from the autofocus technology and advancements, right? I mean, come on. For spiders, beetles, and ants, it focuses more often on their body than the head or the eyes. Okay. That was the previous version, right? And again, previously, the human face and eye was not really that great, right? But hey, look at where they are now. It's almost fail-proof if you use any Sony products, any cameras, right? You can see that the human face and eye tracking is just almost 100% reliable. It's crazy. So Sesh says, Robin, I'm looking for a secondary camera. I'm considering G9 first generation or EMR Mark II. Both are around $500 US. EMR Mark II, because it has face detection autofocus, G9 doesn't have it. There you go. Face detection autofocus will allow much better autofocus, especially for moving subjects. You want to track moving subjects with continuous autofocus or subject tracking, and it works both for stills and video. That's a huge advantage that the G9 does not have. Yeah. Dan says, if Nikon came out with a full-frame compact Ricoh size photocentric body, that could be a huge blow to Micro Four Thirds, and as the full-frame lenses get smaller and cheaper, that bridges the gap also. Who knows? Maybe in time, maybe. I don't think it's going to happen soon, like in the next 2 or 3 years, maybe 5 years down the line. Technology has gotten so amazing, they can make something so small with full-frame. I'm not saying it's impossible, right? Still very windy. Okay, let's see if we have members chat. Andrew says, sorry, I missed out on a number. I'm using S7R Mark II. Ha! Hey! A lot of people, they question me and my knowledge, right? I mean, I'm not always right. Sometimes I make mistakes, but hey, A7R was 36 megapixels. All right, it's 42 megapixels from A7R Mark II. All right, and then later models became 61 megapixels. That's correct. Yeah, Black Swan in Perth. I remember them. I took so many of the photographs as well. I would say, sorry, driving was typing in the traffic light. Hey, don't do that, Andrew. Please drive safely. Get home first. Oh my goodness. Please stay safe, Andrew. Ron Casher says, I just realized I've been shooting micro four thirds for a year now, use 3 cameras, 4 lenses, and at most I've spent 1,900 Aussie dollars altogether. That's really, really nice. Very good value for money. I'm sure you've gotten a lot of amazing shots from that money you've spent. It's very, very well spent. Nick says, as a landscape photographer, the only concern for me will be resolution. 20 megapixels isn't that bad, really. Yeah, and sometimes it's not so much of just resolution, right? It's more like the tonality, the contrast, and like how the shadows being rendered, the gradation and all those, right? And the color shifts and everything. Yeah, I don't know. Like landscape, I think color and all this gradation and the shadow details, those things are more important for landscape photographer than say portrait photographers, right? Who care about skin tones and how the bokeh looks, right? I think everyone is different. Like I will care about skin tone more than like the shadow details, of course. Ufu says, I've switched to Nikon Z and I hope next year I can save up to afford the Z5 Mark II. If I have the money, I would go for a used Z8 or around £2,800 for my wildlife, pets, and action. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. Kanchem says, I just I just tried the OM3 at the store. It costs 2 times of Panasonic S5. I love micro four thirds, but let's be real. It's half the sensor of depth of field, yet double the price. Then get the Panasonic S5, which I think is a horrible camera because it doesn't have face detection autofocus. I think that's the biggest mistake that Panasonic did. When they added the face detection autofocus, I think the first camera they added in was S5 Mark II, not the S5. So to me, S5 is, well, it's gonna sound harsh, but for what I do, it's useless. I rather use, say, the EMR Mark II, which is way older than S5 compared to the S5, right? Ufi says for OM, they need better processing or the dual quad processor to improve the autofocus. A bright megapixel sensor. I think the processor is not a problem. I think the processor is more than powerful enough. You'll be surprised. It's just that the programming, the software, the algorithm of the autofocus needs to be tweaked, and they can do a better job in ensuring more efficient and accurate autofocus. Yeah. They need higher megapixel sensor, that's true. And there is a 47 megapixel sensor out there and they're not even using it. So I don't know why. School Kid says, I agree about autofocus. Use the Sony a6400 as sold, but now have the EM10 Mark IV with 4 lenses that all fit in a regular stylish fanny pack. We need small size powerhouses. That's the appeal. Yeah, imagine the EM10 Mark IV with the Sony a6400's autofocus, right? That will be a killer. He was talking about, that movie, The Stringer, is about them questioning the legitimacy of the Napalm Girl photograph, which is a famous war photograph taken in Vietnam War, originally credited to Nick Ut, and now they allege that it wasn't taken by Nick Ut. They claim it was taken by someone else. And this has serious implications, not just on Nick Ut, but it's like they are saying that he's lying, right? It's also on Associated Press or AP. So watch it. It's really nice. It's really nice. Okay. Just a few more members comment and I'll go to the photo sharing. Asru says the orchestra I shot was wind orchestra, so just puffy cheeks. Shutter at 160, 80, f4, no motion blur, spotlights on musicians helped a lot. Okay, yeah, that makes sense because they don't dance, they don't sway the body so much, right? So you can get away with 1/60th to 1/80th of a second. That makes sense. Like when I was shooting a singer, sometimes like they just move the body too much. You need like 1/200, or faster shutter speeds, right? That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. Gregory says, my experience in the US is that the orchestra is brightly lit in a dark auditorium. That's true. That is very true. Gregory says, Micro Four Thirds room to spare is in a dad fanny pack. Am I going to see you using a dad fanny pack when you come to Kuala Lumpur, Gregory? Alright, I'm going to put a pause here. It's already 3 minutes past 11. I'm going to go to the next item for the night, photo sharing. But before we do that, let me drink some water and some coffee. And let me just put a screen here. Yeah, the water was a little bit far away. It's here. I gotta stay hydrated, hey. But I'm thankful that the weather has been a little bit colder here in Kuala Lumpur, or else I'll be like sweating non-stop here. You guys can see the reflection of my softbox. My rectangular softbox. And it is still windy. Wind is good, not gonna complain. Okay, this afternoon I went out again, and well, here's the thing. I came back on Monday, I was so tired, so I didn't do anything on Tuesday. I just stayed in and I just lazed around, didn't do anything. And yesterday I had some meetings, so I didn't have time to shoot. So today I have some free time. So I thought like, okay, but I really needed to go to the gym because I'm getting fat, right? You can see I'm gaining weight. So I went to the gym in the morning. I have the afternoon free. So I thought, okay, the weather doesn't look very good. I don't want to go too far. The easiest thing I can do is just go to the park and do some inside macros. So I brought the OM1. I can't show you the OM1 now because it's my streaming camera. With the, of course, the excellent Olympus 60 f2.8 macro lens, which I love so much. I think it's one of the best macro lenses out there. With my flash and a diffuser, and I went and do some inside macro. It was a very short session, but it was quite fruitful. It's the same park that I went to 2 weeks ago. I think I did show some inside macro photographs, and yeah, let's get right into it. Okay. The photographs are arranged chronologically. So this was the first few photographs I had. I made some mistakes. I can show you here. Where is it? Oh my goodness. How do I show info? Wait a minute. File info, right. You can, I know it's tiny, but I'm sure you can see at the side. OM1 60 f13 ISO 200 125 1/250th of a second shutter speed. This was not supposed to be taken at f13. I was shooting something much smaller than this, and it requires more depth of field. That's why I stopped down to f13. I could have gotten away with f7, f8 for this shot, but it was f13. The first two shots were taken with f13. So yeah. Still very good. Sometimes I say that, you know, people worry so much about diffraction, like they worry that, oh, it'll cause some softness, image will not be sharp, but then if you need the depth of field, you go for f11, f13. Don't worry so much about diffraction, you still get the shot. I think the shot looks perfectly fine. This is, if I'm not wrong, Australian honeybee. I did some search earlier just to know the names of the bugs that I was taking. So yeah. Just a typical red end. This was also at f13, so there is some loss of sharpness, but I don't really care. Like at f13, everything is sharp. Like everything is tagged sharp. But I could have gotten very similar shots at f9, f10, f8. Some parts of the body will be blurred, but f13, you can see like the entire body is in focus, right? So this is f13. So typical red end. Yeah, they're everywhere, and I got bitten by red ants all over my body. My goodness, it's just scary. This was my first time seeing this creature. I was so curious, I did not know what it was. And I looked it up. This was the net wing beetle. Because the wing looks like it has net on it. So net wing beetle. I love that the wing has like two shades of color. It starts with red, like red from the neck, from the back, and then finally at the tip of the wing, at the end there, it just slowly fades to dark chocolate or black. I just love the shades of the color on this beetle. And that antenna, my goodness, so pretty. Oh my goodness, look at that. Like, I have not seen this before, really. This is my first time seeing this beetle, and I was so astonished. It's just so good. So for this shot, I have corrected my aperture. I think this was f8. f8, 1/250th of a second, ISO 200, OM1 60 macro. So yeah, this was f8. So there we go, net wing beetle. Nice. I hope I'll see this again. I've never seen it before. This is my first time, and this is the fun part about doing inside macro, like seeing things for the first time or hunting the bugs or creatures that they've never seen before. I was really excited when I see this. I was like, what the heck is this? It's so cool. And this is a jumping spider. I've taken so many of them already, and I don't mind taking more of them. They just look so cool, and they're always curious. They are not afraid of you. They are very playful. Sometimes they'll jump on you or the lens, usually jump on the lens first, and they're always very, very, very cheerful and very, very, very active. They keep moving a lot, which makes them not easy to photograph as well. They don't stay still very long. They just keep moving and moving and moving and moving. So yeah, I have a lot of jumping spiders this time. There were a lot. This is Mitch. It's not a mosquito, it's Mitch. The difference between Mitch and mosquito is that the wing on midge is shorter than the whole body. If it's a mosquito, the wing will be longer than the body. So yeah, this is a midge. And it's really cool, right? Look at the color, and my goodness, it's so cool. And I don't know, I've taken a lot of this before as well, and I just love taking them again and again and again. They just look so cool. And I like that the wing has like a rainbow glow to it. Like you can see the multiple colors on the wing, how it refracts the light. It's just so cool. Yeah. Another jumping spider. This is not the same one as the one previously, although it looked similar. This is a different one. I think this is the same type, of same species. It's just a few of them running around the same area, but it's just so cool, right? And this is the same one as this. I just want to show you, like, they just keep moving around. They just don't stay still. And look at that. Look at that. My goodness, it's just so cool. Jumping spider. Another jumping spider, different one this time. This is the green, translucent green jumping spider. It's just so cool. Look at that. Like, it has hair. This one has hair. Right? I like that the front two eyes are green. That matches the body as well. It's just like the body has so many different colors. It's just so nice. And look at the sharpness. Like, this is f8, right? Like, I know I can get more depth of field if I stop down the aperture, but just want to show you this is actually f8. But to me it's good enough. I don't need to see like everything in focus. You just need to have sufficient depth of field, and to me this is more than sufficient. I think if I were to add like extension tubes or go even nearer, this is already close to 1:1 magnification. If I want to go like nearer and nearer, I may need to stop down to maybe f11, f13. This is just f8, I think, which is more than good enough. Yeah, I love this. I think this is one of my favorite photographs from today. It just looks so good. Mosquitoes. I forgot. When I was shooting this photograph, it was actually lower. I need to squat to almost the ground level to capture this shot. And boy, oh boy, I was attacked by like 50 mosquitoes swarming around my arms. And trust me, these mosquitoes, when they pierce your skin, when they suck your blood, it's like tiny needles going in. You can feel it. So imagine 10 needles going in at once. And at the same time, I was trying to steady my shot and get this spider, and it was moving around, like keep moving and moving. It was so difficult. It was not easy. And the spiders, they were like all over my hands, my fingers, it's just behind my elbow and everything, on my neck. You can feel the needles going in, like, my goodness. So after this shot, I went and take one of the mosquitoes. This is an Aedes mosquito, which is actually very dangerous. Fun fact, my area is actually in high risk of dengue. So this is an Aedes mosquito, and it transmits a very dangerous disease. You can get like high fever and you could die. So yeah, not a good idea being out there, being attacked by all these mosquitoes. And you see the body is actually being, it's already bloated with blood. Honestly, obviously, that's my blood. Like, there's no other human beings there this afternoon. That's my blood in that belly that this mosquito has sucked. So yeah, my goodness. So yeah, mosquito. The lighting of this shot was not perfect because it was taken upside down. The mosquito was hanging upside down under the leaf, so I had to turn the camera like upside down to take the shot. Not ideal, but I did what I can to get the shot. At least it's in focus, right? You can see the eye is in focus and some details on the body. Could use better or more depth of field, but yeah, again, that area has a lot of mosquitoes. I just don't want to stay there for too long, so I had to move on. Hopefully I don't get dengue though. Grasshopper, typical your garden grasshopper. Look at the details. My goodness, look at the details of the grasshopper. It is incredible. Look at the antenna. Look at that. Look at the details of the eyes. Just amazing. This is more than 100% already. So this is 100%, right? And look at all the way the legs there. And I only managed to get 2 shots of this before the grasshopper jumped away. It is a grasshopper. They hop, right? And one of them is in focus. The other one was out of focus. Mushroom or fungi. So yeah, I thought it looked quite cool. So I grabbed a shot of the fungi. mushroom. This is the shot of the day. I was very lucky. I knew that this area has ant mimic spider, and I've seen this several times. I've shot them several times. Only once in the past 10 years of this park, I've seen the ant mimic spider eating something else. I've seen it happen elsewhere, not this park, but only once. So this is my second time that I successfully caught the ant mimic spider eating the ant that it was trying to mimic. So this was my shot of the day. And if I go in nearer, you can look at the details of the eye, which is amazing. Look at that. You can see all the crazy details. It's just amazing. And it just nicked the butt of the ant. It's kind of sad. I think the ant is still alive. I think I saw the ant moving a little bit, but I think the spider has injected its venom into the ant, and I don't think the ant will live very long. It's just sucking all the juice from the ant out, and that's how they eat. It's pretty interesting if you really think about it, right? People say that animals don't lie, and I think that's not true, because clearly ant mimic is lying. Well, pretending to be someone else is just a fancy way of lying, right? So the ant mimic spider is living the whole life as a lie. It's pretending to be someone else, pretending to be an ant, to get close and eat them, which is pretty cool. Look at the details, it's just amazing. This is my shot of the day. I may share this on my Facebook or my blog soon. This I did not know was a spider until I zoom in and look at the eyes. Like, hey, it was a spider. And okay, I wasn't attacked by mosquitoes here, but I was attacked by red ant. There was the place I was standing. There were like hundreds of red ants there, and they crawl all the way up. I was wearing long pants with tight high socks, so they didn't get into my legs, but they climbed all the way up to my neck, to my hands, and I got bitten. I was like, and imagine, like, I have to go, I don't want to move the spider, right? So I had to go close, and knowing that I was stepping into the ant territory, the red ants were crawling up on me, and I know that they're crawling on me, and still I have to get this shot. And this was the best shot that I can get. I could have done better, I know, but hey, red ants. Red ants, like, no. And this is the first time I'm seeing this spider as well. I haven't seen this before in my life. I don't even know what it is. I tried to do a Google search or the lens search. I came up with 0. It has so many different names, and I don't even know what this is, but it is a spider. You can look at the eye here, the eye here. And I know this is not the best shot. Like, I want this part to be in focus as well. So if I knew, well, of course I knew. It's just that if I wasn't attacked by all these ants, they were trying to eat me alive, I could have gotten a better shot of this photograph. I know, excuses, but hey, I'm not making money from this, right? Nobody's gonna pay me money for taking this photograph. I'm not gonna risk my skin for all these ants, right? And those red ants, they're really painful, hey. So yeah. Long-legged fly. And look at the eyes. Look at it. Look at the eyes. The compound eyes. Oh, I just love that the fly has so many colors on the body. It's like almost a rainbow color. You have like blue, green, a bit of red and purple, right? And some yellow on the legs as well. It's a combination of so many different colors. It's just so amazing. Yeah. This is already 100% magnification. I can't go closer anymore. And this from the side, and you look at the wings, like, oh my goodness, it's like rainbow color. It's just amazing. Look at that. Look at the details. It's so cool. Right, yeah. Same fly, just from the side. And this was interesting. Because I saw the ant. I didn't know what the ant was doing, so I took a photograph. And the ant was eating something. Is it a caterpillar or a worm or something? I don't even know what that is. But clearly, it looks delicious. The ant was like sucking something out of it, right? The black ant. So yeah, look at that. And this is so tiny. Again, this is very close to 1:1. I think it's already at 1:1 magnification. This is already 1:1 magnification, and I can't go nearer anymore. It's just so cool. Right. And an assassin bug. This is the last shot of the day. Assassin bug. Look at the details. It's so cool. Yeah. The eye is slightly out of focus. I think it's it doesn't really matter. I think it's good enough. Again, like I said, nobody's gonna pay me for these shots. I don't make money. It's just I was out there for less than 2 hours. I think it was about 1.5 hours. So I got all these shots for just to show you guys, right? I have something to show you guys. Going through some of my favorite shots, right? I definitely like this. This is definitely shot of the day, right? Ant mimic spider eating the ant, right? Caught the ant as a prey. And yeah, it was just lucky to find this, and it was really cool. You can see everything clearly. And look at how strong the spider is. It's actually it lifted the ant up in the air. The ant was actually suspended, like while the spider was sucking the ant dry, which is really, really cool. And if you go nearer, you can see the details around the eye, which is amazing. This is my favorite shot. And what else do I like? I like this as well, just because the spider is quite, I mean, it has different colors. The eye is green, and it has like a very funky hairstyle, like a monkey hair. Monkey hair spider, jumping spider, which is really, really cool. Right, though I was eaten alive by mosquitoes here. It was really crazy. And you can look at how the flash, because my flash fired from the top, the flash actually fired through the translucent body and casted the green color on the shadow. You can see the shadow is green. That's because of the translucent body, which is really cool, right? Like, it's not a black shadow because the body is translucent. It allows light to pass through, and I have a powerful flash that actually flashed through the spider's body. You can see the green color at the bottom, which is like amazing. So yeah, all right. I hope you guys, and of course, this is another one of my favorite, net wing beetle. First time seeing it. I hope I'll see it again. I think it looks so cool. Yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this short photo sharing session and some of the cool photographs that I've gotten. Definitely, this is my favorite. The ant mimic spider eating an ant. Right, and yeah, I've never seen this before. Hopefully I find it again in the future, a type of spider, and yeah. All right, what do you guys think? Let me know if you like the photographs, and I'll get back to the chat. Let me drink more water, and I'll drink a bit of coffee and get back to the chat. Let me just bring everything up. Why is everything hidden? All right. Okay. Now let's get to the members chat as well, as usual, before I get to everyone before that. Andrew says, personally, I think OM brings back the Pan, and Lumix brings back the GX GF GM series. They will be back in the game and probably give Fuji a run for its money. I stopped driving. I'm glad that you're safe, Andrew. I'm really glad. Comments got longer. Netwing beetle is beautiful. Thank you so much, Gregory. I love that shot as well. Is the Australian honeybee as little as everything else in Australia? I have no idea. But the bee doesn't look like it's aggressive though. Like, I went really close. It doesn't really care about me, so yeah. Wait. It did fly to my face. And I had to like... I had to go back, and then it flew away. It did... One of them flew like... Right, I was like, what the hell are you doing? Rowan Catcher says, I would love to go out and get some star trail shots. I only have to drive 20 minutes to get to a spot with low light pollution, but I don't have the patience to leave my camera alone for 2 hours. Wow. Well, do something while you're there. Hey, like, if you are still connected to the internet, I think 2 hours is a perfect time to watch The Stringer, the Netflix documentary, right? So sell the camera, let it do what it has to do, and then sit somewhere not too far away, load up the movie and watch The Stringer. I think that's the best way to spend time, right? Get multiple things done, yeah. Rowan Catcher says, that spider hair looks like a Santa hat. The monkey hair, right? The monkey hair. I think you are referring to this one. Let's look at the hair again. This one, right? Yeah. Look at that. It's so cool. Oh, you guys didn't see that. Sorry. What was I talking about? It was this one. This hair, right? So yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, my mistake. Wait. Why is this not showing? All right. Gonna set up everything properly. Andrew says, amazing macro shots, Robin. Thank you so much, especially the translucent green spider. That's very unique. This spider is more common than you think. I've seen it a lot. It's just that this is the first time I've seen it at this size. So it was not small, by the way. But then again, it's not large. It's not like the size of my palm, right? It's relatively still very small. It's just that this is the biggest I've seen. So because it's bigger than usual, I can get a much larger shot, if that makes sense, and I can capture more details. And the spider is quite friendly. It didn't run away from me, so that was pretty cool. Yeah. And of course, since the body is larger, it allows more light to pass through. You can see the green shadow, right? All right, let's get to non-members chat. School Kid says, that's the reason I like it so much. I can carry my camera in my pocket with a prime on it, and if I need zoom, I can fit a 14-150 in my jacket pocket if needed. Man, you guys have so many pockets. I don't think my pockets can fit so many things. That's crazy. Sausage says, what I think Olympus really needs is better video codecs. Color grading is not easy. Lumix is doing a fantastic job with that. I've no problem color grading with my Olympus camera, honestly. So, okay, I don't have that much experience with different cameras. So between Nikon and Olympus, not the Nikon Z5, because I tried the Z52, the APS-C camera earlier this year. I borrowed from Futuromic Malaysia. Between Nikon and Olympus, Olympus colors are easier to grade. And also comparing Olympus versus DJI, and DJI had like 10-bit log or whatever, all these things, right? Whereas Olympus, because I was using EMR Mark II, and it was only 8-bit, although I was shooting in log, but it wasn't 10-bit, right? 8-bit, and I wasn't even shooting in log, I was shooting in flat profile. The color from the 8-bit flat profile on the EMR Mark II is so much easier to grade compared to the DJI's 10-bit log or whatever CME-like whatever profile that they have, which is supposed to be more cinematic and flat and whatever. It's just so hard to grade. Like, no matter what I adjust, the colors just don't look right. I prefer to work with the Olympus colors. Like, honestly, grading on Olympus cameras is not that bad. Like, if you really know what you're doing, the colors look really good. Like, I don't think, like, okay, for example, what do you think of this color? It's not that bad, right? Like, there's not much grading done. This is actually flat profile, and the tweak of the color is done by OBS. I did not add any filters. I did not add any third-party software to grade the color. It's just a simple saturation, brightness, gamma, and contrast control directly from the built-in OBS software's image quality adjustments. Like, it's not something very advanced. It doesn't require advanced color grading. Like, from the OM1's flat profile, I can get this, which I think looks very pleasant, looks very natural, and looks good enough for what I need to do. And for my videos, of course, I use DaVinci Resolve. When I can edit them properly, I can grade them, I can apply LUTs and everything. I thought, like, my videos look all right, right? Yeah, so, yeah, in terms of color grading, it's actually not bad. It's not bad. Yeah. Okay. After color grading, let's see. Wolfie says, the one thing that I always get smiles with my Nikon Z6 is when I edit raw files and see how much I can bring out of the images. The image quality is just, I just can't give up. Micro Four Thirds can be sufficient, but it's not as good. Of course, nobody's denying that you can get more from the full frame files, right? In terms of dynamic range and high ISO. But then again, like, I have shot macro images with the Z5 using the Tamron 90 f2.8, which is an excellent macro lens. The new one, again, thanks to Futuromic for loaning it. But comparing Nikon's Nikon Z5 with the Tamron lens versus Olympus cameras with the 60 macro, Olympus wins, hands down. Sharpness, details, color, tonality, like how the overall image looks, Olympus wins. Don't get me wrong, the Tamron could be sharper, a little bit sharper than the 60 f2.8. Could be sharper, but the overall look, still the 60 f2.8 just gives so much better. In terms of quality, like, people look at it, they'll know, okay, this Olympus lens just renders so much better than anything that comes out from the full frame cameras. So yeah. So it says Panasonic 9 f1.7 or 818 f2.8 to f4. 9 f1.7 is so much cheaper, smaller, lighter, and yeah, it's f1.7. f1.7 versus f2.8. f7 1.7 wins. Uvi says, I just checked on the camera size, and Nikon Z35-50 1.4 are the same size as Olympus 17-25 f1.2 Pro, but the Nikons give a different look at f1.4 compared to Olympus at f1.2. Correct, definitely. My personal quibble with Canon RF system is that Canon refuses to allow third-party autofocus lenses, keeping the users stuck with Canon-only lenses, which can be expensive or not have what you need. But then again, Canon lenses are not that bad. Have you seen the 45 1.2 RF? That lens is cheap. Yeah, the cheapest f1.2 autofocus modern lens out there. Nick says, totally agree, would love to be able to get Sigma lenses from my Canon mirrorless cameras. Suki says, in terms of autofocus, is the EM5 Mark III a big jump over the EM10 Mark IV? I thought EM10 Mark IV came after EM5 Mark III. But then again, EM5 Mark III is definitely better because it has face detection autofocus, whereas the EM10 Mark IV doesn't have. The face detection autofocus makes a huge difference. Jerry says, okay, film cameras are surprisingly cheap and light. Trouble is I don't own lenses to them, but I have many for micro four thirds. That is true, And you'll be surprised at how cheap the full frame lenses are these days, especially from third-party manufacturers. And even the first party, the original manufacturers themselves, they are not making the lenses too expensive these days. Wolfie says, the Sony A7 Mark V from their own marketing said that the processor is a new one, but algorithm is used from A9 Mark III and A1 Mark II, so the autofocus should be the same. All right. But then again, like new cameras usually will have some surprises, usually. Wolfie says, the only additional software-wise is automatic subject detection with selectable subject detection categories you can pick for auto recognition. But then again, like, things like this you need to test, right? Nobody said the OM1's autofocus is worse than EM1 Mark II. They say this is a new one, it's the better one. Of course, they say good things, right? But they don't tell you it's worse, right? So you gotta test it to really see whether it's good or not. Wolfie says, speaking of gradation, I shot a frosty morning landscape shot and the sky was so beautifully shaded from warm to very cold from the raw file. Even the fog had such beautiful gray gradation. Yeah, awesome. Asmina says, Sony A7 Mark V and Canon R6 Mark III are a nice example of how development slowed down a lot during the last 7 to 8 years. Improvements are very... Are you sure? Canon R6 Mark II to R6 Mark III, there's a new sensor with, like, what, 30% more megapixels? From 24, it jumps to 33? No, it's 50% more megapixels, right? Not only that, it's faster in terms of burst rate, improve image stabilization, and improve overall, like, then you can shoot video raw internally, right? It has 4K 120 with full width. I think that's a huge jump from R6 Mark III compared to R6 Mark II. Like, how would say it's just very small. I think the improvement is massive if you look at it from that scale, right? Like, I don't know. To me, it seems like a massive improvement from R6 or R6 Mark II. I don't know. To me, from 24 to 33 is like 9, you get 9 extra megapixels. That is a lot. I want that. And I wish I have that, right? Yeah. Aguila says, I love Inside Macro. I have the 60 and enjoy it so much. I just got the 90 to do deep stacking. Gonna have fun with both. That's amazing. Jerry says, very nice photo of the beautiful jumping spider. Thank you so much, Jerry. Ruby says, amazing images, Robin. You have so many and so beautiful insects. It's winter here in UK and most of the insects are gone now. Not much macro going around outside except ice crystals from the frost. No worries. So when it gets warmer, I guess you'll have more chances to do your macro there, right? So no worries. Even your spiders have hairstylists. I know, right? They were like, okay, it's time for a photo shoot. Let's get in style, all right? Let's prepare for this photo shoot. It's crazy. Orion Capture says, the coolest spider I've seen is a golden orb. Scary, but mesmerizing. The webs are huge. Yeah, golden orb. Okay, I don't even know what that is. Let's see what golden orb spider is. Let's see. Oh, nice. Oh, we have that. We have that. It is massive. That thing is massive. Yeah, it's like, it can be bigger than my palm, right? spread it all out. It's massive. I've seen that a lot in Malaysia as well. You don't need a macro lens to shoot that. You can shoot that with your kit lens or a tele lens like a 40-150R, right? You don't need a macro lens for that. That is such a massive spider. Rowan Capture says, I would say for me, the OM subject detection will help. The EMR Mark II loves faces, even the face detection off, and I hardly shoot people. And I would say that EMR Mark II's macro is okay. I have no issue shooting macro with EMR Mark II. Yeah, I think I just want to use the OM one because I don't use it enough. So that's why I use it for this macro session. Yeah, definitely. Aguila says, I don't too much like mosquitoes, but I really like the photo of one. Yeah, that is a dangerous one because I'm at risk of catching dengue, which fever, which is a dangerous disease, and yeah, I could be hospitalized for that. Hopefully, I pray that nothing happens to me in the next few days. Things that I do for you guys. Things that I do for photography. My goodness. Gigi Wildlife says, awesome macro photos, Robin. You have some great insights. Thank you so much, Gigi Wildlife. And very nice to see you here. I appreciate the kind words. Hey, Marlene. How are you? Marlene says, beautiful shots. I keep thinking I'd like to get that 60 macro lens one day. No worries. I think in the Micro Four Thirds cam, if you are still using some Micro Four Thirds cameras, like you have the G100 Panasonic, even Panasonic has some really nice macro lenses as well, so doesn't really matter which macro lens that you use. But the 60 I think has an advantage because it allows some distance between the lens and the subject, so it doesn't scare the insect or the bug away too easily. And guys, if you guys don't know who Marlene is, please check out her YouTube. She makes some awesome Micro Four Thirds content as well. Let me see if I can bring up her channel. Let me see. That's not correct. Let me see. Okay, found it. Just gonna share here. So, Marlene's gonna put it on the chat. Awesome YouTube. Please go to her channel and give her a subscribe there and support, because we don't have that many Micro Four Thirds content creator out there. I think she's an excellent creator. She's a very talented photographer, and she's a great teacher. I think you can learn a lot from her as well. She's definitely a way better teacher than I am. I wish I had her patience, and the way she explains things is just so clear and so on point. Yeah. Go check her out. I'm sure you can learn something from the channel, or you can just enjoy her photography, and yeah, support a fellow Micro Four Thirds content creator. Christoph says, Robin, check Artabrus jumping spider male. This is a green spider from Indonesia. Man, how... Oh, that is... I see if I can copy that. Okay, I think I can. I'll just copy the words to Google. I don't think that's the same insect, right? I don't think it's the same, not insect, but spider. Maybe it's the same, just a different variation. At least it doesn't look the same. It doesn't look translucent to me. Or maybe it is the same, just maybe male, female, different characteristics. I don't know. Maybe it's the same. Or maybe mine, because mine has hair, right? Because all the images I see online here, they don't have hair. You get what I mean? Like they don't have hair. So mine has hair. So hey, I caught one that's really cool. So yeah. Gigi says, I learned all my G9 content from Marlene's videos. Keep them in my playlist. There you go. I think Marlene has some really useful Micro Four Thirds content. Definitely check out her channel. I've caught up with the chat. Surprising. It is almost 40 minutes past 11 or 20 minutes to midnight. So yeah, let me drink more water to stay hydrated while I wait for more chat to come in. I think it's the right time to remind everyone that I have enabled membership on my channel, so you can support my channel by just spending the price of a cup of coffee, and you get some really cool perks. you have some early access. You have early access to all my new videos. You get to see my videos 24 hours before everyone else. We have members only live streams once a month, and for this month it's happening tomorrow. So if you're a member, please don't forget, tomorrow we have members only live stream. And of course, if you're a member, I'll prioritize my responses to your comments. I'll reply your comments first, whether it's in my old videos or new videos, and especially on live streams, I'll respond to your chat first before everyone else. I have taken down some older videos that are not performing well. Well, it's not that I'm putting a paywall on my video, no. You get to see all my videos for free. It's just that after a certain amount of time that has passed, if nobody is interested in watching those videos, I don't want these videos to dilute the algorithm of my channel, so I took them down. And if you want to see these videos, you have full access if you join as a member. These videos include tips and tricks on composition, framing, black and white photography, how to get sharp images doing macro, like what I've shown earlier. You can learn them from these members only video. And of course, there are other ways to support me. If you don't want to join as a member, you can buy me a cup of coffee using this link up here, or you can contribute directly to my PayPal if that's something that you prefer to do, or you can buy from an affiliate link at B&H. All the links are in the description below, and any support, any help will definitely go a long way, because as you know, to run a YouTube channel, it requires some resources. I'm using my own funds, and whatever that comes from your contribution, whether it's from a super chat, or if you join as a member, or if you send money to my PayPal, or if you buy me a coffee, all this will definitely help me to fund this channel. Whenever I go out to make videos or photos, I'll have to spend time, energy, and some places may require entrance fees, and the travel and everything will require costs as well. So this goes to that, and definitely will help me to do more, share more, make more content, and publish here for you guys. For those who have contributed, who have been so generous, who have helped me so much, thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate you. I've always said this. Without you guys, there's no Robin Wong. So thank you so much. All right. Tomato says, sorry Robin, I've been lurking while tying fishing knots. How cool is that? Spider though, coolest spider in the world. Yeah, the one with the hair, right? Definitely cool. All day says, I traded my EMR Mark II lenses for a full frame RF 2870 f2.8. I'm going all in on my Canon R8. Sucks to see it go, but this allows me to focus on one camera system. But the Canon R8 doesn't have image stabilization, right? Canon R8 image stabilization. I mean, of all the Canon cameras, I wouldn't choose one without image stabilization. Yeah, it doesn't have, so sorry. I'll choose like R5, R6 rather than an R8. And overall, I still think that with the image stabilization, the benefit outweighs the full frame sensor. And yeah, unless the full frame sensor has image stabilization like my Nikon Z5. It has image stabilization, so that changes things, right? I just can't work without. I understand there are older cameras that doesn't have image stabilization, like the Nikon D50, the Olympus E1, Canon 5D, and I enjoy all these cameras. I've used them a lot in the past to make content, and I think they're fully capable. But if I were to spend money today and get a new camera, I'm gonna go for something better with latest technology. And no image stabilization, no go for Robin. Yeah. Yes, eventually you'll upgrade. Hopefully you'll get at least R6, Mark II, Mark III, right, for image stabilization. Gaetano says, hello Robin, greetings from Italy. I will definitely upgrade my A7 Mark IV to A7 Mark V. That's amazing. Any reason for the upgrade? Like what's the feature or improvement that you see in the camera that is making the justification for you to upgrade? Let me know, because I'm curious to find out, because a lot of my friends have the A7 Mark IV. I haven't spoken to them yet. I'm going to throw the same question to them as well. Like if you're going to upgrade to A7 Mark V, what's your reason? Like, is it such a big improvement, right, for you to upgrade? Let me know in the chat. While I wait for more chat to come in, let me drink some water, stay hydrated, and maybe some coffee as well. Coffee though, they still have coffee. Chuck says, I have the S7 Mark IV, but the rolling shutter isn't much of a problem for me. At least not a problem worth $2,900 to fix. The rolling shutter, is it a big problem? I'm not really aware of that in the A7 Mark IV. But then again, if you're doing like for example, let's say that I were to use the A7 Mark IV, like today, right, for my jobs. It has mechanical shutter, and the mechanical shutter goes to 10 frames per second. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think 10 frames is plentiful even for today. Unless you're shooting sports. I don't shoot sports. I do weddings, events, portraits, stage. Sometimes I don't even need 10 frames. Like 5-6 frames is more than enough. But 10 frames is definitely more than sufficient for the things that I need to do. And it's mechanical, which negates the rolling shutter or jello effect or any other problems that comes with electronic shutter, like banding or issues with shooting with flash, or I don't know what other problems, weird colors, shifts, right? If you shoot a very high ISO, if you use electronic shutter. But there's mechanical shutter that can solve the problem. That's in photography. If I'm using the A7 Mark IV for video, and I'm just going to use it to do my YouTube stuff. I'm not going to use it for production. I'm not a filmmaker. I don't earn a living doing videography. If I do, then my camera choices and my gear setup will be very different, right? For video. Definitely what I have now is not suitable to shoot video. And if I were to use the A7 Mark IV to do my YouTube videos, the ones that you guys normally see on this channel, it's just me standing still talking. I don't think rolling shutter is an issue, and whatever movement there is captured by the camera, like slow pans or like zoom in and zoom out or review of the product, I don't think rolling shutter will be a big problem for that. And yeah, I can totally see myself using the A7 Mark IV for my YouTube channel, for my jobs. But then again, I don't see the need to upgrade. Again, I mentioned that the EMR Mark II for now is more than sufficient. I'm perfectly happy with what I have, and my clients are still very happy with my shots. So they just call me back for another shoot just before this live stream. So, so there you go. Tomato says, I'm curious about current macro four thirds sensor. I've been watching full-frame lens reviews, and flaws on sharpness can be seen when shot on an APS-C camera with denser pixel pitch. Okay. So you think Panasonic and OM are holding back on more megapixel bodies because of this? No, that is not true. I think you are reading too much into all this technical analysis. You become like an analysis paralysis. I think higher megapixels will definitely benefit, and I believe Olympus lenses are already more than sufficient to resolve at least 50 megapixels. There's a reason why when you shoot handheld high-res shot or tripod high-res shot, the resolving JPEG file is 50 megapixels, not 80, not 64, right? It's 50, and that's the limit of the lens. You may get like 80 megapixels RAW file for the handheld high-res shot or tripod high-res shot, but the true megapixel advantage is only about 50, and that's at the limit of the lens. And we're talking about higher grade lenses like pro lenses or the premium lenses. If you talk about kit lenses, you may not even get a 50, maybe you only get like 30 something megapixels. So yeah. Okay. Gaetano says, I'm a nature photographer, and the 30 frames per second in RAW with pre-capture are indispensable for bird photography. Bye for now. Okay. Pro capture. Don't they have the Pro capture in the Canon and Sony as well? I think they have, right? So yeah, Wolfie says the rolling shutter on the A7 Mark V is very bad. Using electronic shutter, birds can easily bend not just wings on birds, but the body shapes of a subject. Using it for panning makes backgrounds bad, but it has mechanical shutter, and the mechanical shutter is 10 frames per second. And I don't shoot birds. I shoot events. I think 10 frames is more than sufficient, and I don't burst all the way like hundreds or thousands of shots. I do short bursts, right, to get that moment. Let's say that the bride is about to pop open the champagne. Of course, that's when you want to burst. Or when something is dramatic is about to happen, right? That's when you're gonna burst. So yeah, I think that's perfectly fine. Chuck says, on the A7 Mark IV, if you want to use electronic shutter to be silent for wildlife or events, motion does tend to bend. I understand. But then again, even when I use my EMR Mark II or OM1, it's like I only use silent shutter for like 1% of the time. The only time it truly brings benefit was when I was shooting in a studio, recording studio. My friend was singing a new song. They were recording a new song in the studio. I was shooting behind the scenes for them. And yeah, that's where they need like complete silence, right? And the only thing that's making noise from me are my bones cracking as I move around the studio, and I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't know my bones can make all these kind of noises. Ode says, had a question about the sensors on these new cameras. Does the stack sensors really hurt the dynamic range compared to regular sensors? Canon was able to have the fast readout without making it stack. Okay. Was the Canon one not stack? I'm not aware of that. I know that there was some penalty in the Nikon Z6 Mark III. There's like one stop dynamic range penalty. I haven't seen any reviews on the Sony A7 Mark V, but then again, the A7 Mark V is not fully stacked. It's like the Nikon Z6 Mark III is partially stacked. But I do expect some penalty, maybe not one stop. I don't know. I don't know how much the dynamic range is at loss here. But will the speed advantage and the faster readout be good enough to justify the loss of dynamic range? I don't know. I don't know. Ovi says, I have used it during a banger race, makeshift cars for ramming each other, and all the electronic shutter images had bent backgrounds. I had to switch to mechanical only. Definitely, I think that's given, right? But I'm not saying that the electronic shutter has no issues. I'm just saying that it has mechanical shutter. Like, why don't you use mechanical shutter, right? And I would believe for most cases, 10 frames per second is more than enough, right? Gaetano says, I'm a nature photographer. Okay, I've already replied your comment. Right. Okay. MPO says, 1.5-inch sensor with 200 megapixels and ultra slim body with touchscreen. That will make an interesting camera. Ultra slim will not be good ergonomically. It has to be thick enough for the hand to hold comfortably, especially for professional grade, right? So, yeah. 200 may be a little bit too much, I think. More is not necessarily better at this point. I think if we can get at least a 30 megapixel sensor, that will be a huge welcome. I wouldn't oppose to 40 to 50 megapixels, but I think anything more than that, why? I think it's ridiculous, right? And it's just going to be a waste of storage space. The card readout needs to be faster. You may not be able to use SD cards. You might need to invest in expensive CF Express cards or XQD cards. And then again, storage is going to run into a problem. And to process 200 megapixels RAW files, I may need to upgrade my computer system. I need the latest processor, more RAM, better graphics card. It's just going to cost infinitely more. I need to spend thousands and thousands, maybe like $5,000 more, or even $10,000 more, like a new PC, more storage, new the memory cards. This is gonna add up to the cost, which I don't think I'm willing to spend, right? So yeah, I'm sorry, I don't see the appeal of high megapixel, like as high as 200 megapixels. Maybe 30 megapixels is a good place to start. Something that is so you want a 200 megapixels image sensor with about $300 to $400. Good luck to you. You can keep on waiting. Movie says, the advantage of electronic shutter is blackout-free burst shooting. Mechanical shutters will always have black frames, and all of us interrupts between each frame. Yeah. But then again, I don't see the problem, right? 10 frames per second is not exactly that fast. Autofocus is good enough to... So autofocus was already good enough for DSLRs to track effectively. If you have like Canon 1DX or Nikon D5, D6, you will know that even though there's blackout, not just the shutter, but there's like mirror flipping, right? Autofocus still 100% is still 100% reliable. If that's the case in mirrorless cameras, I don't see how autofocus can be a problem. I don't see it, right? Exactly, right? Tomato storage is going to be an issue. So Z7 is like, what, 45 megapixels? So that's why I was saying like 30 megapixels is a healthy increase of resolution from current 20. That's like 50% more, and it allows a bit more room to crop, and it brings it up to the industry standard, right? So yeah. The only stacked Canon sensors are R3 and R1. I see. Okay. Chuck says, after the first time I had to cull images from burst shooting at 60 frames a second, I said to myself, never again. Why were you shooting with 60 frames per second? Oh my goodness. The fastest I went was 20 frames per second. I was shooting tennis. Even so, I came back with like almost 10,000 images from just one morning. 10,000 images, like crazy. That was when I was testing the OM System 50 to 200 f2.8 Pro. 20 frames per second, right? That's insane. All right, more coffee. I have some coffee left. Yeah. Yeah, I think generally, like these days, there are no bad cameras. Like even if you don't want to use Micro Four Thirds, if you just jump to full frame, that's fine, right? I think the argument to get Micro Four Thirds is quite lost. It's already lost. It's getting increasingly difficult for me to convince someone to buy into a Micro Four Thirds system right from the start. For us, a lot of us here, we are already heavily invested in Micro Four Thirds. We have lenses, camera bodies accumulated over the years. Some of us have been using Micro Four Thirds for more than 10 years. So it makes sense for us to just keep upgrading to the next better body from whether Panasonic or on Digital Solutions. But if you are someone new and you have the budget, I don't think Micro Four Thirds will be the first choice. And that is kind of a sad reality these days. And that's what makes the market share situation quite sad and disheartening to see happen to both Panasonic and OM Digital Solutions. It was a horse race. Shock. I see. Oh, they says I would love to see Olympus go for a sensor that's at least 30 megapixels. You talk about OM Digital Solutions, right? Olympus is technically dead. He'll go for the Gusto and add a global shutter. That will be amazing for wildlife shooters they are trying to appeal to. I think there is a 47 megapixel Sony sensor. They're just not doing anything with it for Micro Four Thirds, which is strange. Heryu says, I went from GFX 100 to Z9 because extreme hot pixels at base ISO. Oh, never looked back. Honestly, the U9 Z9 beats it by a lot and noise at base ISO and high ISO. I don't understand the appeal of minimum format. Honestly, I understand that if you need it, you need it. Like maybe you need a phase 1 camera, specialized camera with a 200 megapixels back, and they can give you the kind of shots that you can't get with the other cameras like from Sony or Fuji, right? Then that makes sense. We have to deal with a lot of other problems that comes with the high megapixel count. But the Fuji medium format, I just don't see the appeal. I've tried it before. I look at the files. I don't see anything better than, say, a full frame file, right? I just don't see the advantage. Yeah, 100 megapixels, but then again, when I look at Sony's 61 megapixels image, that's already too much for today, even today, right? You're talking about future proofing, like why? Why would I want to buy a camera for the future? I want to buy a camera for now. And for now, I understand 20. For my personal use, is more than enough. Like whatever Micro Four Thirds, the 20 megapixels. Just that a little bit more will be better, right? Yeah. And Pooh says, do you think that we are in need of cheaper cameras for the entry level? Yes, definitely. Somehow they need to get people into photography, but they need the new platform for that. We've talked about this many, many times. Like OM Digital Solutions should come out with the OM 10 series cameras or the Pan series cameras, and the Panasonic should come back with the GF, GM, GX series cameras. I think these cameras will be a huge hit in the market. It has always been the best-selling cameras in the Japan list, and I don't see the reason why they shouldn't do it. I think this will bring in a huge chunk of revenue, which will definitely help the company to recover some losses, and also it'll be a good entry point for people to come into Micro Four Thirds as well. Not everyone can afford or want to buy a flagship $2,000-$3,000 camera, right? So, or cameras that are so overbought with features that we never use, like the Canon G9 Mark II or the GH7 has float 32-bit. I don't care about that. I've never had any issues with my audio recording. I'm not a professional videographer, and if I am, I probably wouldn't use Panasonic. I'll probably use a Red cinema camera or Canon or Sony cinema camera, right? And then they have like open gate, which I don't really find necessary, or they have like RAW capture. Like I don't need to shoot RAW for my video, and if I do, then I need to again, same problem with the high megapixel count. I need more storage, faster memory card. I don't invest in more powerful computer to process the video RAW files, which is like incredibly ridiculous. I don't want to deal with all these problems. So yeah, so for someone who doesn't need all these features, if I buy the G9 Mark II and the GH7, I'm paying for all these features that I never use. You see why it doesn't make sense for me to get them, and they are not cheap, by the way. Like here in Malaysia, the G9 Mark II and the GH7, they cost higher than, say, a Canon R6 Mark III. And if that's true, why not I just get a Canon R6 Mark III? Uvi says, the only appeal I have ever had for a medium format is the gorgeous old portraits like Lincoln's portrait. Yeah, but then again, like, if you try the autofocus on the medium format cameras, you will miss. And when you miss the focus, it is very, very obvious. Like, because the higher megapixel that the camera has, the more obvious it is the mistake that you're going to make. Curry says, or retain the interchangeable lenses for the advantage, but the rest of the camera, like the GR, isn't that the GM1? Yeah, they should bring the GM1 back, definitely. We've talked about this before. All it says is the allure of the huge sensor, but the lenses they add are very similar to full-frame equivalent lenses. And the huge sensor doesn't bring that much benefit. Like, after full-frame, you don't have the benefit, like anything larger than that, you don't have the benefit of more dynamic range, maybe a little bit more, but not that much more, and it's almost negligible, right? Like, how much dynamic range do you really need? And then the high ISO is actually going backwards. Like, you can see that image quality on full-frame cameras are actually better, cleaner compared to medium format. So being too large, it also has the overheating problem. Like, I've seen my friends shooting with the GFX cameras 50, 100 on the streets, like the camera just overheats and stops working for like 15 minutes, which is insane, right? Like, I never had that problem with a Micro Four Thirds camera. Wolfie says that shallow depth of field and details in the image is just outstanding. I don't know if it can be achieved by a Nikon Z6, maybe with f/0.95 lens. And then again, like, I'm never a fan of super shallow depth of field. If I am, I probably wouldn't be using Micro Four Thirds to begin with. And I'm already very happy with what I can achieve with Micro Four Thirds cameras, right? Tomato says, I want Micro Four Thirds to survive and thrive. Same here, definitely. Speaking about crop sensors versus full frame, I always thought it would be nice to have both. However, recently I realized that crop mode is equivalent within the one body. Yeah, that's true. You can just turn the body into a crop. Chuck says, why not compete with the Ricoh GR? Put a micro sensor in the small fixed body. They can, but then again, when asked multiple times to the representatives from OM Digital Solutions, they just say they have no plans on making a compact camera body with fixed lens. That has always been a consistent, recurring answer that's given, and I don't think we're going to see anything like that happening with OM Digital Solutions soon. Her says, I had an OM1 as well, really like it, but the anti-flicker reduction on your screens, not the final image, really annoyed me on my screen. What did I do with my screen that annoyed you? Okay, I don't understand. Okay, I think it is already midnight here. We have Gregory's comment. I'll read this one and then we'll call it a night. Gregory says, I love my GM5, but I have been forcing myself to use the Pan F and I like it. I need to figure out a better way to carry it. Can't carry it in your jacket pocket, right? The pocket is not that deep now, hey? All right, thank you so much, everyone, for joining the live stream. I think tonight's topic is quite interesting. Thanks for sharing your thoughts. I think Micro Four Thirds will need to do better, and they need to act fast because full frame and everyone else is maturing, and it seems like it's a challenging time for Micro Four Thirds. It's very hard for me to convince anyone to get a Micro Four Thirds camera these days, knowing that so many other cheaper and possibly better, depending on what you do, is arguable, right? Whether it's better option or not, but it's definitely, there are so many other tempting options out there. So yeah, I think, I hope Panasonic and OM Digital Solutions will do something dramatic and drastic next year. I think 2026, they really need to do something. They need to change the strategy. They need to go all in and give us some wow products, because I don't think they can hold on much longer. The market is just shrinking and shrinking and shrinking for Micro Four Thirds. It's time for them to do something, and they have to do it fast. I hope they do, because I do want them to survive and thrive. And I hope you guys have enjoyed looking at the photographs I've shared tonight, the inside macro photographs from the park nearby. And if you do, well, please consider supporting me. There's Super Chat, there's Buy Me Coffee, there's you can join as a member, buy from my affiliate links. There's so many things you can do to support me, and I appreciate your help. Until the next one, please go out and take more photographs. Bye-bye.